If your sincere search and meditation are directed toward the truth of being and not at some earthly religious forms of belief or superficial spurious spirituality or any material objects you believe to possess powers, you will find that, gradually, your own nature is changing and you begin to be aware of otherness and their needs as you never did before. You become more empathetic, understanding, caring, compassionate, and gentle. In fact, the soul qualities of divine life now begin to control your natural ego impulses for satisfaction and self-defense. I want to warn you that you will have now entered a new and difficult time, an era of conflict between the ego drive which has habitually insisted on fulfilling its wants, perhaps at the expense of other people, and the psyche soul which is beginning to realize that love is the law, and the rights of other people have to be balanced equally with the rights of self, the ego. As the psyche absorbs more and more of the soul, divine reality, into its consciousness, the old ego drive begins to release its grasp and the inner daily conflict becomes even more intense. The psyche soul, now working through mind and heart, discovers it is balancing the needs of other people against the validity of its own needs, and it becomes weighed down and weary of the endless internal struggle of self-questioning and self-judgment. When the psyche is reaching this point of perception, it indicates that the pull of the human consciousness is thinning to such an extent that the soul is now drawing close to and becoming reunified with the divine reality. The soul acknowledges through the medium of the psyche that it loves the divine love, that is, the divine reality, more than it loves anything earthly, and longs to be fully united with its source of being. The psyche finally surrenders the ego consciousness drives to divine reality, and begs that it may be enabled to yield the ego, to go through the death of the selfhood. This happens when people are truly reaching the apex of their spiritual life, and they usually need a spiritual master to guide them through it. This death of the selfhood should never be undertaken as a means of achieving greater spiritual insight. It is highly dangerous and will not succeed in achieving greater spiritual or earthly life. It will be greatly destructive to the psyche and ego before due time. It will hinder the whole process of soul, psyche, ego, physical development. No one should entertain such a thought in order to be more advanced in spiritual perception and truth. Such an act of willpower will be self-defeating, since it is born entirely of the ego drive to be more important spiritually. When this experience of ego mastery takes place at the right time, in the right way, the soul, through the medium of the psyche, is free to a large extent to commune directly with the divine reality, since the continual chatter of the ego consciousness is stilled. The pull of the earth is no longer paramount. Self-centered ambition fades, the desire for personal possession dissolves. Peace reigns in the mind. The soul, now speaking clearly through the psyche, longs to uplift, nourish, contribute to the growth of other souls, educate, uplift, and nurture with understanding and tenderness without any desire for recompense or self-aggrandizement. As the soul is drawn into ever closer contact and attunement with divine reality, its only earthly goal is to treat the neighbor or other people with the same kind of concern and consideration it needs for itself to flourish and be content. Giving becomes as easy as breathing. Eventually, it becomes a privilege to work for and with other people for the promotion of their highest good. This is divine love in action. However, there is no sentiment in divine reality. The intention behind individualization was to enable divine reality itself to experience its own nature of creativity, joy, and personal fulfillment. Therefore, when I was on earth, I drew the lines between giving and receiving quite clearly when I said, "Do unto others what you would have them do to you." This statement was a loving warning that as you sow, so will you reap. It was also a guideline to behavior. If you do unto others what you would like done to yourself, then you can be sure you are acting only from the standpoint of love. If other people do not want what you would like done for you, then you live by trial and error. You have taken a positive step towards fulfilling an act of true love, and if it is rejected, you have given yourself an opportunity to find out what would be more greatly appreciated in the future. In this way do you grow in the act of love. I also said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. This meant that you should have equal concern for your neighbor's comfort as you have for your own. It also means that whatever you wish unto other people, you would be happy to have wished on yourself in like manner. It means that you must think the thoughts about others which you would be happy for them to think about you. It means that your entire consciousness should be directed at caring, concern for others, no matter what they may be doing hurtful against yourself. All human beings are living in the jungle of human desires, goals, frailties, disappointments, anger, and frustration. Out of this war-torn consciousness come many weak and ill-judged responses and actions. Therefore, behold the frailty, forgive the unkindness, and let it go back into the nothingness out of which it came. The only truth and reality in your life is divine consciousness, intelligence, love. Hold fast to this realization at all times. To find the kingdom of heaven in which the soul is in harmony with divine reality, there must come a time in your development when you no longer want to be drawn into the earthly perceptions and consciousness of human beings toward each other. You long to withdraw entirely and focus on spreading your own contact with divine reality to others. Beware that you do not force your spiritual way on others, irrespective of whether or not they are on the spiritual path themselves. At the same time, you must preserve your own serenity by not allowing others to take advantage of your good nature. You must clearly draw your lines of right and wrong, prevent the selfishness of others encroaching on your privacy, which is likely to destroy your peace of mind. To ensure this, there is no need for your ego consciousness to assume dominance again. You can guard your privacy peacefully. You have been given the intelligence to achieve this necessary purpose with the highest degree of love. Remember that the spiritual edifice of consciousness vibrations, which have been constructed out of your contact with divine reality and your daily mode of thought, feeling, and living, should be sacrosanct, and you have to take care not to become entrapped again in the lower vibrations of others' thoughts and reactions. At all times, your highest purpose on earth is to promote the highest earthly and spiritual good of every other living entity, human and lesser, not by descending to the vibratory level of those in need, but by reaching out and offering the wisdom which has brought you into your sanctuary, your holy of holies in mind, emotion, and living conditions, if there is a willingness to listen and accept. Otherwise, hold your peace. Sympathy and compassion should be detached. Empathy will drag you down and embroil your spiritual consciousness vibrations in the human vibrational level. This will possibly create conflicts where you had sincerely only intended to uplift and heal. Avoid this, since it will deplete your energies and defeat your spiritual purposes. Pure love is concerned only with upliftment and spiritual progress, healing, and achievement of the kingdom of heaven. Divine love is a warm, compassionate feeling, primarily charged with the longing to enable the loved one to grow, create, be nourished, and nourish others, to be healed and to heal others, to educate and educate others, to protect and protect others, to fulfill his needs and for him to fulfill the needs of others, all within a clear system of law and order. This is divine love, law, in action. When your highest purpose has become the divine purpose in action, the ego, the nucleus of your individuality, is now controlled by your soul. The ego drive becomes your true defender and the true protector of your personal comfort, but it now works entirely in harmony with the directives of your soul, which draws its nature from divine reality. I repeat, There is no sentiment in divine reality, no removing any boundaries ensuring law and order to suit the demands of the egoist, no weak giving in and yielding to the obstinacy of others. At all times, it must be borne in mind that all people should respect one another. They must respect the rights of others to privacy, safety, peace of mind, and harmony. If differences arise, they can be dealt with mutual respect. The more spiritually evolved you are, the more will you respect the highest and the lowest of social stratas, accounting them to be equal, not in the sight of God, as human beings like to say, but within your own spiritualized perception of the fundamental equality of the souls within all beings. Respect and divine love belong together. True love is highly respectful of the beloved. Where there is respect between two people, this frequently leads to the highest form of love. If you have found this letter difficult to accept, remember that the human mind is limited in its understanding of dimensions beyond the earthly plane. Do not let the reasoning of the ego hold you back from your soul's journey. In my next letter, I will develop the theme of divine love and will enlarge on ego self-love, showing you exactly how the magnetic emotions are presently controlling your thoughts, feelings, and lives. I will outline the steps by which they can be overcome and eventually dissolved from your consciousness. My purpose is to lead you along the path of self-discovery and spiritual advancement, that you may enter immediately into light, not only when you pass on into the next dimension of existence, but also while you are on earth. At the moment, you are living a shadowy, burdened existence, instead of consciously living within and entering into divine consciousness and allowing it to permeate and gladden your thinking and your life experiences. Know that my Christ consciousness is with you always, and you can have immediate access to me when you call. Let this be a comfort to you, but not a crutch. I am but your gateway to your own illumination and your own ascent into Christ consciousness yourself.